Voidborn Mythology by Axel Hellstrand. Episode 5.
The Hunt.
In the vast bush-covered forest stood the organic hut of a lonely river. The structure itself looked as if some giant creature had lost its liver, and over time the liver had dissolved into a bag of meat. If this was a traditional home, I would just have to knock upon the door. Only problem being that the hut lacked a door, but I decided to knock anyways. I didn't have time to wait all day. My right paw was drenched in disgusting mucus, and the fleshy layering muffled the knocking. The wall that I stood in front of gradually opened up, and emerging from the shadow was my hermit friend.
Ah, here so soon, little cub.
Indeed I am, old chum.
What brings you here except for my company?
Fine, I'm gonna need your help.
You need help? With what? Someone very sick or hurt?
Well, a lot of people's gonna get hurt if you don't help. You remember that fireman, right?
Ah, yes. I remember the child of the sun god. He almost killed you.
I know. Well, I need your help to capture this beast.
Why ask me, Neart?
Well, you told and demonstrated to me that these monsters...
Don't call them monsters. I do not like the word monster.
Well, fine. These creatures are definitely afraid of the blue liquid. If you join us, we will gain a great advantage against this creature.
I am uncertain. I don't want to capture or kill living creature. All life is sacred, from smallest of rat fleas to biggest of elephant crabs. I not know if I want to join you.
If you help us, you'll be seen as a hero and be respected.
I already made up my mind. That will not happen. People will not like me forever.
But River, think of all the lives you could save. He suddenly stopped in his tracks and turned to me.
Good point. I must return to hut and rethink.
Morning had turned to afternoon, and all of this waiting and wasted time had turned me so furious that I just want to rip apart the wall and scream. But I couldn't do that. River was my best lad, so I had to show him some respect. Finally, the wall gradually opened up again, and out walked River, and I had to quickly quench my rage.
Neat. I made a decision. I will join you.
I knew that I could rely on you, old chum.
I am very curious, Neat. Who are other of our tribe?
Tribe? Oh, I think the word you're searching for is a party.
You're correct. But same question remains. Who are others?
Well, we live in Fiskmarsheim after all, so you can probably guess who the other two hunters are.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. That's not good. Birds are very mean to me.
Hey, relax, lads. I'll keep an eye on those hunters, so nothing foul escaped their beak.
I hope so.
Lonely River packed his most important belongings in his organic flesh bag. and took farewell to his beloved home. After he was done, we wandered to the dub forest, where we would meet up with the hunters. Both of us were at the meeting point, but there was no sign of them. The only thing I could see was thousands upon thousands of trees that carried the autumn leaves. In the forest ambience, I could hear whisperings.
Hey, Moles, look at that. A furball and slime skin standing beside each other. That is not a sight you usually see.
Well, I usually don't see slime skins that often as it is.
You should be careful with those words of yours.
Huh. How did you even hear us and find us?
These ears of mine are not only for show. And your friend whispers way too loudly. Now show yourself. The two mischievous hunters flew down from one of the trees. They were dressed in baggy clothes, crafted from the autumn leaves, and their arms, legs, and faces were painted to look like tree bark. They were heavily armed, and their equipment consisted of crossbows and harpoons.
What a bummer! We had planned the perfect prank!
Yeah.
What we are about to do is serious, so—
Fine, Lord No Fun. How are we going to find this friend of yours, Guardian?
Friend? That thing is not my bloody friend!
Please relax!
I'm sorry. Well, you are hunters after all, so you two will know, right?
Well, we hunt creatures of the ocean, not creatures of the land.
I understand. Well, we can split in two parties. You two can search the sky, since you're skyborn after all, and I and River will search the land.
And the rivers too, huh? You get it, Sense?
Hey, birds.
Don't you get it? Since his name is River and he... Oh.
You're not a comedian, you're a hunter. Your jokes never hit the mark.
That was kind of funny, actually.
Alright, so we are gonna split up. But how are we going to find each other again?
Well, good question.
I knew I would get some use out of this. Here, take this.
What is this?
It is bagged smoke, and hey, don't open it. Use it sparingly. One puff of smoke will help us find you two.
But how will we find you two?
We will also have a bag of smoke. There isn't anything to worry about.
I guess that's it. Well, time to begin our hunt.
Hey, River. See you around. Haha. Get it, Sense? Oh.
Hey, birds.
Yeah, they can definitely be a mouthful. But you get used to them, lad. The two hunters flew as quickly as the wind itself, and we gathered to begin our hunt. We searched through the heavily forested lands of northern Fiskmasheim, and after trekking for hours, we found no sign of that infernal giant. How in the burning sun is it so hard to find this giant freak?
Maybe Child of Sun God is smarter than you think.
Bloody nonsense. That thing has more muscle than brain. That freak has barely any senses to speak of. Whoa! I tripped on a tree root that was too high up from the ground. My body rolled down the steep hill of the forest. I managed to hit every single rock and tree on my way down. When I hit the ground, I wobbled back on my feet, and it felt like stars were spinning around my head.
Neart, are you alright, little cub?
Atop on the hill stood a concerned River. I'm alright, lad. Only some... Oh.
Little cub?
In front of me was a huge footprint, and my hairy feet looked tiny in comparison. Maybe the footprint was of a fiskmoss, who suffered a severe case of giant sickness, but that was not bloody likely. This was the footprint of the monster. Strangely, there was only one trail to be seen. Maybe the monster was smarter than what I had given it credit for. It seemed the monster had covered his trails, except for this one. I think we found our prey.
I not see it.
No, but I spotted its trails.
Oh, I understand. I must take a look at trails.
River jumped from the hill, and when he landed on the ground with his feet, his slimy and wrinkled skin shook around for a while. I didn't know that you could track.
Of course I know tracking. From culture of gatherers and hunters I am. This will not be a big problem. The trail is 1 day old.
1 day? Well, time to get going.
Oh, wait. Or maybe it's just half day. Or even...
Now it's time to get moving! Quickly grabbed him and hastily followed the scent of the monster, something the brute hadn't thought of. And we had wandered for hours with no break. This was too much for the old amphibian to handle, and he fell to mud-covered ground.
So tired. Must rest.
We can't. We must find the beast before he can kill anyone.
I can't walk any further. Walked for too long.
Well, then I have to carry you in that case. I put the small and aged body on my shoulder and proceeded to continue my wandering.
That is very strange.
What is?
I see green clouds from other side of forest.
Wait, that's Sealgair signal. Maybe he has found it. I followed the emerald green puff of smoke through the forest. I even ran on all four like some savage beast. I ran so quickly that the poor amphibian had to hold on for his dear life. I needed to get to Sealgair more as quickly as possible. They might have found the monster. I jumped out of the woods onto the Emerald Hills, and up on the highest hill stood Sealgair and more, and they were not alone. Disappointingly, it wasn't the monster who attacked them, but a swarm of bloodsuckers. The creatures known as bloodsuckers are as black as coal, ruby-red eyes, the head of a bat, and the body of a mosquito. Sealgair waved around with a stick for his dear life. I had to save them, and I had to get rid of these vermin. I extracted my claws and prepared to freeze them with my frozen breath. River suddenly grabbed my paw.
No, Neart. I will handle this.
The small amphibian walked towards the great sword, and yet again his head began to beat like a heart. The swarm froze up in their movement and flew away from the fisk masses as quickly as Cassine herself. Sealgair was astonished by this act of power and turned his head towards River and said,
Thank you, Slimes, lad, for saving us.
I not save you two, I saved them.
Well, let's continue our search.
There's no way that we're gonna leave now.
What?
Are you blind, Furball? My friend here is slowly dying. We must help him.
I looked down to the plump fisk boss. Moore's throat was 3 times as big. His eye was dry and it turned to red. All right, River, could you help Moore?
I could try. Why is Bird even dying? He's only stung by bloodsucker.
Well, my dear friend is deadly allergic to those vermin.
Vermin? They are what they are, and they do what they do. Nonetheless, let me see what I
He
have.
put his organic bag on the ground and opened it up. He threw out of tens of seemingly useless items until he stopped after finding what he was looking for.
Ah, blue ocean leaf. Great for curing many venoms. Or is it sapphire friend that cures drunkenness?
Please just hurry up, River. The time of the day is not infinite.
What? So there's a cure to drunkenness and no one has ever told me?
Don't rush me, Neart. I must be careful, or he will die painful death.
Please, don't rush him, Guardian. It is about my friend after all.
He ripped apart the blue leaf and combined it with some water. He later took control of the sapphire blue liquid, and it flew into Moore's mouth. After just minutes, the swelling had disappeared, and the plump fiskmas could breathe again.
I can breathe. Oh, thank you, River. You definitely washed away my problem. You get it, Sense? Huh? Oh.
Birds.
Moore's great friend, or maybe something more, flew towards him and gave him a big hug.
I was so worried about you, my friend.
Well, isn't that sweet? Now it's time to get moving! Afternoon had turned to night, and all of my companions were tired of their long and unsuccessful day, and they began to fall behind. Why did everyone stop moving?
It is very late and all of us need to take a good rest. Even you, big guy.
But what about the monster?
That's a matter for tomorrow. A tired hunter is a terrible hunter.
Fine! We started setting up camp for tonight, and after a few failed attempts, the tents were in place. As this was happening, Old River tried to cook one of his typically bad soups in his organic cauldron.
Here is soup that I made. But you probably don't gonna like it. And you will make jokes about that.
He turned his back to us and bitterly walked towards his organic tent. We others sat beside the bonfire with hungry stomachs, and no one of us dared to touch that cursed soup.
What's up with that old amphibian?
Well, he had some less than stellar time with your kind. It's better you leave him alone.
Oh, I see.
Well, anyways, now it's time for some ghost stories. You should start, Guardian. It is your occupation, after all.
Very well, lad. When I was younger, I was tasked to find an evil spirit that was harassing the locals. It was a spring day, I think, and the mist was thicker than ever before, and was impossible for a naked eye to see through. I searched for hours, and if I would have been lost any longer, I would surely have gone mad. But the sound pierced through the heavy mist, and it was the cry of a child. I followed the cry and finally found its source. The spirit of a very young Fiskma's male sat in the tree. I climbed up in the tree and asked him, "What is the problem, little one?" The little lad stopped crying, but the sorrow can still be heard in his tiny voice, and he answered, "Everyone ignores me. Everyone is so mean." The lad didn't know that he was a ghost, and it truly pained me to tell him the truth. But it had to be done. The poor lad, of course, was consumed by sorrow after I had spelled out the truth. I told him, like most other souls, that everything would be fine, and it was time for him to enter the afterlife. The child pleaded with me not to take him to the afterlife. He wanted to see his mother before he left the egg. I held his tiny astral hands and walked back to the tiny village. Later on we find the lad's mother. I told her of what happened, and they embraced each other even though she could not see her beloved son. She was thankful beyond words and told me that this was the nicest deed everyone had ever done. I will always remember that day of spring with fondness, and I have never, and I say never, been able to top it since.
Well, wow. Not to be rude, Guardian, but what in the frozen wasteland was that kind of ghost story? It wasn't even scary.
So ghost stories are supposed to be scary?
Yes, what else?
I don't find ghosts to be scary. Most of the ghosts are merely misunderstood, and even sometimes victimized.
Well, isn't that cute and dandy? But I said that we were going to tell ghost stories, meaning actually scary stories. Alright, more show our Guardian friend what a true ghost story is.
I don't know. I'm not that good at telling
By
ghosts.
the lies of Kazin, of course you can tell ghost stories. You have made my spine tingle many times. You may not make me laugh, but you can definitely scare me. I believe in you.
Oh, thanks. Well then. Once upon a...
By Kazin herself, what is going on? What are you snickering about?
Your friend and perhaps something more has encountered the river effect.
What in the burning sun is a river effect?
Well, you see, every time you've been healed by river, something unexpected happens afterwards. Gosh, it was ages ago since I had a swollen tongue.
What kind of healer cures you and then gives you another disease? He seems toxically incompetent.
Well, he isn't the best of healers, but he's my best friend.
So he's your best mate?
Mm-hmm.
But what do you even see in that frog?
He's one of the most caring and truest individuals that I have and will ever know. Sure, he isn't the most gifted individuals, but he has always been there for me, even in the darkest of times. Meeting River is always fun and surprising. A life without the river would be an empty one.
I see.
Well, anyways, maybe you, Sealgair, could tell us a scary story.
Sure, I can give it a try. I am nowhere near as good as Moore. Well, anyways, one stormy and dark night, Moore and I sailed on the open sea to find and hunt rare ocean creatures. After hours of searching, we found no ocean creatures. I drank myself drunk to quench my disappointment. I stupidly was the one who controlled the small vessel. I was so drunk that everything I saw, from the ocean to our small wooden ship, was just one big blur to me. I was so drunk that I had to use all my willpower not to sleep. I was so drunk that it was a blessing from the Big Five that I could still stand on my feet. Because of my drunk sailing, I accidentally crashed into a huge sea rock, and parts of the ship were splintered. I thought to myself, oh well, it wasn't too bad, it was only a rock. But I was so wrong. The rock began to rise from the ocean and a huge reptile eye was opened. Only Only moments later, 8 eyeless snakeheads rose up from the ocean and swarmed our ship. I was such a fool. I accidentally crashed into a grey serpent squid. The creature stared at us with its shining emerald eye, and its serpentine tentacles began to attack the ship. I pulled out my crossbow and tried to shoot at the stone-like limbs. I was horribly drunk and missed every shot, even though the creature's limbs were right in front of me. In my drunken state, I wasn't able to see what was real or not, so all of this just felt like a really bad dream. I began to laugh about the absurdity of my situation, and I shouted, "It's the best that you can do, you ugly freak!" The squid serpent was about to destroy the ship and eat us for dinner, but a harpoon pierced the monster's eye, and it released a terrible scream. It was Mor who had slain the beast, and I would surely be dead if it wasn't for him. I would either drown or be a snack for the serpent squid. That's the end of the story, and I still can't understand, Mor, why you have the worst self-esteem of any Skyborns.
Later during the night, I began to feel exhaustion of all of that wandering, so I walked away from the bonfire to my tent to get some well-earned sleep. But from the darkness of the night I heard.
Neart?
Hmm?
You are also my best friend.
Sleep well, old friend. Sleep well, old friend. A night turned to morning, and I got up on my feet before anyone else in my party. I lumbered to the nearest source of water to wash my face. Close to the camp stood a waterfall. Cleaning was not my highest of priorities, but I did not want the monster to smell my scent. The cold water of the waterfall was lovely, and I could have stayed underneath the waterfall for hours. But my peace was interrupted by a snarl. It almost sounded like it came from behind the waterfall. That couldn't be true. I might have just imagined it, or had I? I was sometimes too curious for my own good, so I walked through the waterfall. To my surprise, there was an opening to an impressively big cave. I walked inside the cave, and I heard another snarl, more clearly this time. The cave was so dark that even with my vision, it was hard to see, but I heard the heavy breathing that echoed inside the cave. I of course followed the sound, and after a while it felt like the cave was getting warmer. Suddenly, fire spewed from the shadows, and I dodged it by the skin of my teeth. For only 1 second, the red flames had revealed the monster.
To be continued.